With the new year upon us, we have entered and surpassed, in some cases, holiday basketball tournaments. Casey Johnson, the head coach at Altavista, has a tournament named for his dad. It's not really a holiday tournament. It happened a couple weeks before Christmas, the Bob Johnson Classic. And the theme of the event is to have guys with a connection, if possible, who played for Bob Johnson to come to the event. One of those guys is Heath Brawley. He is the head coach at Fluvanna, and I asked Coach Brawley to talk about his connection with Bob Johnson.
Coach Johnson was the coach my all 4 years. He had a great impact on my life as far as just work ethic, teaching me how to be a man, and really just responsibility and how to go about carrying yourself for young men that you would be coaching.
RJ Spelsberg, he is a head coach at Monacan. He talked about Bob Johnson away from coaching.
Oh, he was awesome. Like, he'd invite us up to his house. After I graduated college, he would come watch our games in high school when we were coaching. I was the nicest man in the world.
Patrick Bailey is the head coach at Narrows. Coach Bailey said that Bob Johnson reminded him of his grandfather, who was a legendary coach at Narrows for a long time, and that was a factor in pulling Coach Bailey to Emory and Henry.
My grandfather was a lot like him. My grandfather was the basketball coach at Narrows for 31 years, and he was tough on me growing up. And then I remember when I was being recruited in high school, just watching Coach Johnson then, I was like, man, I want to play for a guy like my grandfather. That was one reason I went there. My whole family graduated from Emory as well, so that was another reason. But and then once you get there, you're like, oh, man, this guy's tougher than I thought he was. But, gosh, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now because I'd never graduated.
Matt Huff is the head coach at Luray, and he talked about it being an honor to play for a legend like Bob Johnson.
It was 5 hours away from home for me, so I got a little homesick. But, playing for Coach Johnson was a treat. That guy was, served his country, just such a good leader, man. It was just an honor to play for him and get to know him. Like I did.
Preston Gordon is the head coach at Goochland High School. He talked about being a manager for Bob Johnson with the Emory and Henry Wasps.
Coach Johnson pulled me into his office with Coach Kaufman and asked me if I would like to stay a part of the program and continue to be a manager. And I agreed and said yes. I was happy to be a part of the program. So I was with the program with Coach Johnson for the next 4 years. I was on that 5-year program at Emory. I just wanted to further my education as much as possible.
A lot of people talked about the intensity level of Bob Johnson. RJ Spelsberg gets us kicked off with that.
But his intensity level is unique. He gets it out of you. He knows how to push you. He knows how to make you want it. He's just incredible.
Luray's Matt Huff said that he didn't remember the first practice with Bob Johnson, but he was a victim of a Bob Johnson one-liner.
Every year he always had the freshmen over to his house, and we went over to his house, and we talked about our classes and stuff we had the year before and things we liked. And I told him I had 2 advanced PEs and 2 weight trainings as a senior. And he looked at me, because I was about 140 pounds at the time. He looked at me and he said, well, would you skip the weight training class? And so I don't remember the first practice, but, man, my parents and we still joke about that. But Bob was a great man, and, he's missed every day.
RJ Spelsberg commented more on the intensity of Bob Johnson while you're a player for him, but after you're gone, he's your biggest fan.
He's intense. He gets after you, but when he's when you leave the sidelines, he's like your best friend, your mentor. So you're going to go through some stuff with him, but it sets you up for life.
RJ Spelsberg talked about Bob Johnson away from coaching.
Oh, he was awesome. Like, he'd invite us up to his house. After I graduated college, he would come watch our games in high school when we were coaching. I was the nicest man in the world.
Patrick Bailey talked about how Narrows got involved in the Bob Johnson Classic.
We got in the very first year they ever had it at Lord Botetourt. Casey and a couple other Emory basketball alums reached out and got it all together. They do a great job with it. I'm glad Casey got it here. I feel like it's home. It should be here. It's to honor his dad and his mom as well, and his whole family, Lee, all of them. They called us, and I'm sure everybody answered just like I did. Yes, sounds great. Let's do it. And anytime, every year they have it, we'll be back.
Heath Brawley, who is the head coach at Fluvanna, went to Emory and Henry. I asked Coach Brawley Was Bob Johnson like a father figure away from home?
Yes, I would say he definitely held you accountable to everything. So, and that way, yes, you did not want to disappoint him.
I talked with Casey Johnson at length about a lot of subjects at the Gretna team camp over the summer. He said that it could be tough playing for his dad at points. I asked what made it tough.
A tough part was at dinner when Mom wanted to ask how'd practice go. And then we had to get to the point where we stopped talking about basketball. And that was difficult as well because I played for Cordillero in high school, who was difficult, demanding as well, who played for my dad, and he did a very good job in hindsight of staying out of it. He never interfered. He never went and spoke to Cordillero, which in today's day and age is almost unheard of. He knew the most about the game and said the least. So I vividly remember saying to him how he thought I did after a game, and he said, well, you didn't guard the basketball, you're shooting it too quickly, and you need to screen more for your teammates. And I said, well, what about the points I scored? And he said, well, if you want to hear how good you did, ask your mom. If you want to get the truth, then talk to me later.
Not sucking up in any way. I interview a lot of coaches, but Casey Johnson is one of my favorites because he will be brutally honest with you. He is not worried about political correctness. He is what I would call an old school guy. And if you hear all the coaches and Coach Johnson himself talk about Bob Johnson, Casey's dad, you will understand where Casey gets that trait from. And it is a trait that I much respect. And it sounds like his dad was a great man, from serving our country to serving so many kids, not just on the basketball court, but away from the basketball court, and not only teaching them basketball, but teaching them how to become men, how to become fathers, and how to become contributing members to society. The Bob Johnson Classic normally held in December of each year. More on Bob Johnson coming down the road. But for now, the Sports Buffet Podcast. This has been Bob Alvis.